Nigeria, I think they're going to go. It would not surprise me if they're one of the first countries to basically go to Bitcoin as a national currency. I think we'll see Dash do that. I think there's going to be different currencies that are used for these things, but failing fiat systems are not going to go down with the Great Reset. I think this is one of the mistakes that's been made is not every country in the world is cool with, complete poverty and being run by technocratic globalists. So Nigeria admitted defeat. And all you got to do is get off the dollar reserve currency.
The last time we had a Democrat-led Congress and president was during the first years of the Obama administration. Janet Yellen was the Fed chair then, and now soon to be the new Treasury Secretary under Biden. Obamacare was passed, President Obama and Congress sent billions to banks and Wall Street. That was the perfect recipe, and gold soared more than 200% from 2008 to 2011. Patriot Gold Group has the no-fee-for-life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver, and you may be eligible for the no-fee-for-life IRA. So go ahead and give the folks at Patriot Gold Group a call to discuss physical gold and silver. And the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer 5 years in a row from 2016 till present. Click the link in the description box below for more information. And now on with the video. Craig Simpson tonight from Radiant Creators joining me right here. Hidden, I wouldn't say under the radar, but you have to have a little bit of the industry lingo talk to understand it. I'm so glad that a lot of financial lawyers are trying to decipher what is coming out of the XRP litigation with the Securities and Exchange Commission. We are, if anywhere close to what looks like happening, we're going to see a rocket ship of all rocket ships, because it does appear that Ripple is somehow going to be intertwined with the new SOFR rates, which is $200 trillion of assets that used to be pegged to the LIBOR rates out of London, that it's going to be a tokenized bond offering of $200 trillion. This is all going quietly under the radar, but I thought I would bring on our crypto expert here, Craig Simpson, because Bitcoin Truth Seeker, he puts out daily updates about where the markets are moving, and nobody better to talk to right now about this, because I've spent all of today, well, not all of it, but an enormous amount of today and yesterday listening to interview after interview, trying to wrap my head around this whole Ripple thing, where they're talking about if you're an institutional investor, you'll be able to dabble in Ripple. So it looks sort of possible that you and I as individual investors will not have access to Ripple anymore. And they're talking like 4-digit Ripple if they're going to truly intertwine in this with the new SOFR rates. So Craig, thanks for joining me tonight. We'll get everybody's mind off the chaos, the food price increases, the electrical disruptions. We're going to talk about something fun where everybody's going to make money. What do you think?
Bitcoin truth seekers and crypto's truth seekers out there. Yes, definitely. 2021 is a incredible year to create wealth, peaceful evolution. So you get to really, really help humanity's better future as a value add to making a lot of money. I'll take it. I've been baffled the last couple weeks, the last couple days by XRP because, so as we know, the SEC decided to mess with XRP and its price dumped at that point. It's very interesting that the price was pumping and then the SEC decides to pick on Ripple and it dumps. But ever since then, it's up a good number of percent. Like if I was to look at XRP right now, from the bottom of where it dumped, where it started to move up, right now we're up like 53%. And we've been up as high as 80% since then. So something has never been right about this, because with the uncertainty of the SEC going after Ripple, its price never has seemed to reflect that. Usually when a coin gets too much, really any bad attention, especially from the SEC, it just dumps almost to zero, quite a lot, and then it's just sort of over with until that gets resolved. But XRP's been correcting ever since that dump, and if I look at XRP's chart right now on the short time frame, long time frame, it's really, really healthy. If I didn't think anything was going on, If I didn't know the SEC issue was going on, I would say, well, this is a great coin. Hop in. It's making money. No signs of turning around. Great chart. So something's not quite right. And I think that banks, financial institutions definitely have invested a lot in infrastructure into using Ripple, into using XRP. And I just have been baffled where I don't see these big players having invested so much in using XRP, really putting up with the SEC messing with it. And the price is never really reflected in SEC investigation of any note. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious that it's either going to go away or, someone's going to write check to the SEC for $1 billion and it's all going to be forgotten. I don't know the details of what's going on as deeply as you do for sure, but looking at the chart, it doesn't reflect a company under SEC investigation whatsoever, other than its initial dump when that was announced, which is kind of natural in the market, especially in the crypto market. That could be organic, but it's about where it was pre-dump. People don't care. And this is the interesting thing about it. The SEC, sure, they have control here in America, but XRP is ultimately an international currency, same as any crypto really. And I think banks, financial institutions want to use it to move money around the planet because it's instant and it's cheap, and they already have that infrastructure implemented. So this has been a big question mark to me, if you know what I mean. With the infrastructure that's been invested in, it works, it's being used. There is a huge XRP army, as they call it. A lot of people just really like this crypto. I consider it the banker's coin. I don't see what there is to really get excited about it, but it has a great fan base. So from billionaire banker to dude who runs the pet department at Walmart, people love XRP, and the price has no reflection whatsoever that it's under an SEC investigation. So it would appear that it's fake, and or the SEC's ability to, manipulate a currency, a crypto, by trying to regulate it is just gone, especially when you look at the fact that that only matters here in the U.S. Every country in the rest of the world doesn't really care what the SEC does. So that's my observation, but I think you probably know deeper behind the scenes some things that may be going on if you've actually been listening to interviews and scanning news about it.
Well, in a general sense, you can see already we're shifting systems. And this is the year that it's going to be done. And all timeframes seem to be pointing to the beginning of April for the switchover. Now, whether that means a full-on market crash and then something rises out of the ashes, like the cover of the, Economist magazine back in the 1980s, or whether they come out and say, all right, well, we're going to reset everything. And what you have, we're going to try to integrate into the new rates or the new whatever it comes out. Because they were talking about trying to replug new rates in and have some sort of swap over from the old rates, from the overnight lending rates into this $200 trillion new behemoth of a machine. So the Bank for International Settlements had come on yesterday and today and said, yeah, we're going to start using distributed ledger settlement. And suddenly an enormous amount of central bank digital currencies are within that whole sphere within a 24-hour period. With all this being said, suddenly the SEC is going to give a bypass over to Ripple, but the way they worded it was only institutional investors shall be able to take part in something that's a security, but you as the individual investor, you don't know enough, so we're not going to let you partake in anything that a registered security offering is on the books for. They even ended up changing the rules a little bit midstream here. And hey, we've seen this quite a bit with this midstream rule change thing. So with the Bank for International Settlements moving over to distributed ledger now in the last 24 hours and saying they're going to integrate all central bank digital currencies, and we're talking about reserve currencies, whatever that form that takes. And they're talking about the Swiss National Bank, the Bank of Japan, ECB, the Fed, everything going over to a central bank digital currency that they're going to manage under their balance sheet / distributed ledger. I don't know how they're going to word this in the future, how they're going to bring it over. But for the Bank of International Settlements, that is above all central banks. It's a clearing bank for all central banks on the planet to come out and say, we're going to roll into central bank digital currencies and we're going to oversee all of it, but it's going to run on distributed ledger. At the same time, R3 out of Singapore kicks off, and at the same time, they're going to come to a settlement with Ripple all within 24 hours. Is a little bizarre for me to think it's all coincidentally all falling into place in a 24 to 48 hour period. But the whole thing is this whole reset. And I just am baffled, the amount of Bitcoin mining that went down in Texas with the power outage, and there's a whole gamut of all these little extra side pieces that are starting to fit into place here. And you know how it is. The system definitely is going to shift this year. Now, you had some timelines talking about an economic shift. What are you seeing out in the future for some possible timelines in 2021 coming up for any shifting going on from traditional finance, reducing, shrinking, collapsing into the emergence of a new system that we're going to move to digital for the rest of our lives as we know it?
You mentioned April and technical analysis and such. It always is a guess. It's you're looking at probability. You're trying to look at, using the Fibonacci sequence, linear curves, however you look at it. People are trying to figure out the probability of something happening. So TA, technical analysis of charts. You always need to incorporate also some market analysis. Some TA purists will say you do not, but I would say you do. And with that said, now people who do technical analysis that I really, really respect, that I know, who I've known for years and I've watched them do it, and they have a track record of success. Most of them say that, around April, you're looking at like easily it could be a $70,000 or $80,000 Bitcoin, which is a big deal. Because ultimately, Bitcoin, its growth is based on ultimately a lack of faith in the dollar, specifically, for sure. And then some people will make the statement of, $100,000 plus Bitcoin this year. That's all very, very easy. I think we'll kind of look at that at the end of, April going into March. I think we're going to know where it's going to be by the end of the year. There's been rumors of the SEC possibly going after Bitcoin to slow it down. But it didn't work with Ripple, so I'm not sure how that would go anyway. I don't know if the rest of the world really cares. And I think there's a bit of, when people mention the deep state, for instance, I always look at it like you're looking at a processor, like a CPU, and there's cores. There's layers of the deep state, and they're not all on the same page. And I'm seeing a battle going on because, for one thing, Nigeria has been regulating crypto quite a lot. They literally have said you have to use exchanges that are like in Nigeria. You can buy I think it's very limited what you can get. I know it's Bitcoin, but I'm not sure what else. And they literally have those sats on, those Satoshis on those exchanges, and you can buy them, you can sell them, but you can't move them. I mean, they are insane, their regulation. Well, recently, this like the 11th of February, Senator Sani Musa over there in Nigeria, he said this amazing line, and this is powerful stuff, okay? He says, and Nigeria has been one of the worst at trying to regulate crypto, which ultimately means trying to rid it because their fiat's not doing very well, and they've been trying to protect their failing fiat from crypto. So he said on the 11th, cryptocurrency has become a worldwide transaction of which you cannot even identify who owns what. The technology is so strong that I don't see the kind of regulation that we can do. Bitcoin has made our currency almost useless or valueless. So there you have Nigeria with a failing fiat currency system trying to regulate Bitcoin, basically trying to protect their fiat from cryptocurrency. And he just said basically that Bitcoin has made our currency almost useless or valueless. They don't know how to regulate it ultimately because they don't own it. The people do if they choose to. So right there, I think this is something that we're going to see more and more, is we're going to see during the Great Reset, as this rolls out, we're going to see countries, for instance, like Nigeria. We're going to see, I think, Florida as a state, or it's a city in Florida. A city was buying, is it Orlando, I think, buying Bitcoin. We're going to see more cities, states. We're already seeing countries doing it, where they're going to start hedging in to Bitcoin, other cryptos too, but especially Bitcoin, to protect themselves from the Great Reset, because not everyone's on the same page. Not every country, not every company, not every individual wants to own nothing and like it and wants to go down with all the failing fiat currencies. So, as far as exact timelines, I would say I think we're going to know end of April going into March. I think we're going to know how Bitcoin is going to be accelerating. Not financial advice, people, of course. I'm not a financial advisor or a life coach, but for entertainment purposes only, I can say it's not too late to buy Bitcoin. It wasn't when it was 3K, nor 30K, nor 52K tonight. Because you basically just had Nigeria's Senate just say that, well, Bitcoin won, our fiat lost, forget it. People buy it. We can't regulate it, even though we'd like to. So that's a big deal. And we're going to see, I think, country after country, especially smaller one, do this. And there's really no stopping it. So it is truly a peaceful revolution, I would say, in that way. And then I could look at other items like BlackRock. Rick Ryder, he's one of I think he's the CIO or something like that over there, big player. He was over there on CNBC Market Alert, little show they have there. And he said that, oh yeah, we're starting to dabble in Bitcoin, which of course that quote was part of what, and that comes from, I think, the 17th of February. That quote is part of what started Bitcoin on this recent pump. I mean, it was due it to happen anyway. Sometimes it appears like the news is what did it. This news is not completely what did it, but it's a good part of what got that velocity going, this recent pump. So people have estimated that if BlackRock went like 1% in of their trading money, I think that's like either 40 or 70 billion. And let's face it, these accidents don't happen. He didn't just happen. Rick Ryder didn't get cornered and answer a question he was uncomfortable answering. No, this was already planned. These guys had this conversation before this ever took place. And I can tell you, I mean, let's use common sense. BlackRock, before this price pumped, they've been over the counter algorithmically buying Bitcoin for quite a while. And they just made billions on that one couple seconds of interview. You've got that. You've got NYDIG recently this month. They belong to Stone Ridge Asset Management, and they're a spinoff. They made NYDIG to basically do a Bitcoin ETF, which is going to get approved by the SEC. And they have about 6 billion in Bitcoin right now and 280 institutional clients. And those clients, they're all big players. These are not people. These are big players. If you're not playing with $250,000 trades, you're not part of this gang. And they're at 6 billion right now. And they plan to have over 25 billion in basically in physical Bitcoin that is shared out as an ETF to their customers by the end of this year. Well, of course, we know Tesla. Tesla went in 1.5 billion. That's small potatoes for many of the financial institutions that are buying in. And there was word on the street of Tesla buying because the developer who actually, I believe Tesla did it in-house rather than have an exchange like Coinbase do it for them. They actually did the algorithmic buying themselves, not to manipulate the markets. They were really, really keeping their cards close to their chest. And so I think that $1.5 billion investment, it was already in Bitcoin when they announced it. And I think they made billions off that alone. It's insane how much they made from that. So to answer your question in a roundabout way, Nigeria, I think they're going to go. It would not surprise me if they're one of the first countries to basically go to Bitcoin as a national currency. I think we'll see Dash do that. I think there's going to be different currencies that are used for these things, but failing fiat systems are not going to go down with the Great Reset. I think this is one of the mistakes that's been made, is not every country in the world is cool with, complete poverty and being run by technocratic globalists. So Nigeria admitted defeat, and all you got to do is get off the dollar reserve currency, get onto Bitcoin or another, real legit cryptocurrency. And that's a great way for a country, a business like Tesla. I think it's Orlando, Florida, one of the cities in Florida, and I think there's other cities around the nation that are hedging their some money into Bitcoin. So we have a lot of smart people who I honestly think are giving the Great Reset the FU. And so I don't have any more specific timelines than that, but I definitely see news all day that people are going into Bitcoin, hedging in to protect themselves from the Great Reset.
And I'll bring it back over to Central and Northern Africa, because as our food production systems continue to go offline and be reducing the yields year after year, and this year is going to be the first year it's going to be so in your face that things just aren't going to hold up in the structural system that we have right now in the centralized agribusiness in the areas that we grow food on our planet, period. So the areas in Canada and northern parts of the United States, It seems that something like 70% of all the hard red winter wheat has been damaged in the United States during this freeze event. Same in Europe from the beast to the east, although they have different wheat varieties over there, but there's still this winter type of wheat coming up has been damaged. So knowing that they're going to have to shift, or are in part now shifting to new areas to grow food, the new World Economic Forum, if you had a chance to look through the last week of January, their new analysis was they're pinpointing all these areas in equatorial regions across the planet to put their dirty fingers into the food production, because they also say the same thing. Northern latitudes won't be able to grow as much food as they used to, so the food will have to shift into other places. And the whole World Economic Forum, Davos crowd this year, just a couple of weeks ago, was focused on anything warm, anything equatorial, Caribbean, Latin America, anything like that, to restructure food production. Well, where's the next largest area you could do food production? Northern Africa, Central Africa, into the Sahel going north, where it's a dry, barren, I should say was dry, barren desert. The West African monsoon has shifted. Now, here was the whole thing. I did a video probably 6 months ago on this. The whole thing with Nigeria was part of it. And then Chad and Mauritania and Eritrea and Ethiopia. How are you going to transact currencies across those nations for A, migrant laborers, and B, materials? So that was the whole thing that set me on the quest to look to see which cryptocurrency was going to be used in this to build out a new grow zone structurally. And we're talking about the infrastructure, from the water pumps to the pipes to everything else that would be involved, and starting from bare land and bringing it up into agricultural production, but on the same scale that we would expect in Kansas. Well, I was looking in to see which protocols were running in Africa, and all of my research kept leading to the same place: Algorand. Algo, A-L-G-O. And when I did that report, Algorand was trading around 20 cents. This is going to continue. Again, not an investment advice, not any advice. It's just pure research on, if I'm working in Nigeria, but I'm in Ethiopia, or I'm in Chad, and I'm a laborer trying to set up water irrigation for some of these rollouts, or building roads, or whatever it is, putting up silos for seed supply, how am I going to get paid? Because if I'm in Chad and I get paid by the local currency, it's going to be a 40 or 50% exchange rate at the bare minimum, even if they accept it in a different country, because none of those currencies are interoperable in all the swaths across the Sahel and into Northern Africa. Nothing's interoperable except gigantic and gargantuan losses on an exchange rate. So I was like, they're going to have to overcome that. If they're really going to get people to go work up there, they're going to have to overcome this money thing first. And I was originally thinking it would be a stable coin. So I was looking into stable coins and thinking, well, which one would it be? Would it be Tether? Would it be Circle? And boom, it came right out to be Circle and Algorand. Those two seem to be the funnel of flows to pay workers, flows to pay for materials, and flows to pay governments for the opportunity to lease the land and use the land. So USD Circle and Algorand. So Nigeria fits right in that. So when you brought that up, I was like, you know what? They've already been on that. They're already all on the bandwagon of getting this North African grow zone up and running. And it's so apparent that every government across that region is onto the crypto bandwagon already. They have to be. They can't bring it out without it. That's the whole thing. Nothing in our fiat system's operable over there. It's a completely outdated system. And they're going to all jump straight over to the new world, because look where the greatest adoption is for using your phone for payments. It's in Africa. It's the fastest uptake in the world for finance anywhere, because it's the newest thing and it works, and everybody has no other option because there's no other option. So I think we match on that information there.